Hey guys, Ray from Haloview RV and Boat. Today I'm going to be looking at a new product from Haloview, the BT10 with TPMS. So it's a rear monitor, rear view backup camera or rear view monitor for your RV, but it also includes a tire pressure monitoring system. Now I've been using their BT7 with the TPMS for the last probably about 10 months. Had good success with it. I installed it back right around December or so, and I've done a few videos on it. I'll link back for you. Anyway, I really liked that it included the tire pressure monitoring system. You can see it shows up right there. It's unhooked right now, but you can see it can show the tires there or up here as well. These are the sensors here. Anyway, I'll be looking at this newer incarnation, which instead of having this square display like this, 7-inch diagonal, it's got a longer, more rear view mirror style. I guess it's 10-inch across. And it also has a built-in dash camera, so a little bit different design. Just came out, so they asked me if I'd like to test it out and review it. So fair disclaimer, it was sent out no charge for me as a review sample. Anyway, let's get it out of the box and I'll show you all the pieces included, and we'll do an install and a quick test in this video, and then I'll come back with a second video a little while later once I've had a chance to use it on the RV and a couple hundred miles of real world use. Okay, lots of stuff to go through in this kit. We'll start with the main display here. So it looks a lot like a rear view mirror, of course. You get some adjustments down here. Power, there's a LED light adjustment. Looks like a pairing adjustment. A few other things I'll kind of show you once I get it hooked up. The back here, there's the dash cam right there, and where the antennas hook up on each side. You can see on the back how it attaches to the rear view mirror. Now I can tell this company really listens to the feedback I give them, because this particular attachment is rubber, kind of elastic, but it doesn't really fit on my big ram mirror, and I'd always have to use Velcro straps. And I see now they've included some Velcro straps for me, which is nice. Here's the rear camera that goes on the back of the RV. Pretty well the same that I've got up there right now. It's a 1080p high definition camera, and it's got LED, you can see LED lights there. So it can, when you're backing in the dark, light up the area for you. And it also has sort of a night vision. Now at I've used it in the dark, while towing in the dark, and headlights do kind of wash things out if it's really pitch black. But if you're kind of going through a downtown area where you've got lighting, ambient lighting from street lights, it's actually pretty good at night too. And a few pieces for mounting the camera. There's a gasket. I'll show you how I have mine mounted. And then they also include an adapter, probably for going into a Furrion mount. There's a pairing cable here so that you can pair the cameras without having to do it remotely. You can bring the camera close to the unit itself to pair them. Now this one also has two extenders. This is for the tire pressure monitoring. So they want you to mount one up front, closer to the truck, and then another one up between the axles. I guess I'll show you where I've mounted mine, and they've worked really well. Little goodie bag of zip ties and extra gaskets for the sensors and nuts and stuff, and an adjustment wrench there. Cleaners and a little bit of clips for mounting the wiring. And then the antennas, there's an antenna for the camera here, and two antennas for the display, and good comprehensive manual. And these are actually the tire sensors. So they go on each of the tires, and then they get paired to the display. It's pretty easy to do. I'll show you that as well. And then for power, you have two options here. For powering the display, you can use 12-volt power socket in the vehicle, or you can use a USB socket as well. Power for the camera comes via this cable. So you can see on the end there's a black and a red and a green. So black is negative, red will be your positive 12 volt, and then green is for if you want to do any sorts of triggering. Sometimes people only have it as a backup camera, so when you put it in reverse, it'll turn on. I usually don't use that at all because I like to use mine as a rear view camera the whole time that I'm traveling. I have mine, actually have a dedicated switch that I wired in the back of my trailer. I'll show you that. A lot of people will use the running lights. They'll take one of the running lights apart and then wire this in so that when they turn on their trailer lights, their rear camera gets activated. And I also got them to send 4 more of these sensors. You can buy the kit in different amounts of the tire pressure monitoring sensors. So basic kit comes with 4 for your trailer, and I have 4 more for the truck. So it's kind of nice to have both the truck and trailer running on that. Because my truck does have a kind of a built-in one into its tires, but it doesn't really display all the time like this one does. And then the little batteries, just take a little button battery, CR1632s. And in my experience, they've lasted pretty good. I've gone quite a few miles, probably 4,000 miles of towing, and over the course of probably 4 or 5 months, and the batteries still were working fine when I put the trailer away and brought it out again. I was going to do a quick power on test here using this little power box here, and I've put in a USB-C plug to the display that came with it, and I just have this 12-volt socket that I wired up myself just to power on the camera temporarily here while we test things. Okay, so we're powered on, and you can see the 2 camera views there. Here's the rear view camera and the dash cam. Cool, seems to be working. That's quite a nice bright picture. We'll get her installed and test out some of its features. Just installing all the batteries and the sensors. Give you a quick look inside. Looks like a fairly good quality little sensor there. I like the size, nice and small. As far as I know, they don't have the feed-through type sensors, but it's never really been a problem for me. My tires don't really lose air very often. It's easy to pop these off if I need to add air or not. There's a little cap, and on the top of the cap they have a specific number for each sensor, so that comes in handy once you get them all paired together. And say you put the RV in storage, I like to pull these off and take the batteries out so they're not wearing out over time, and then with the number I can easily find the location that they were at. Also, right at the base there is a rubber O-ring to seal out any moisture that might get in there, and I've never had a problem with any of these leaking. And they also give you some spare O-rings in a package with the kit. So now I'm installing the sensors. I've got 7 of them on. I'll show you how it goes. I just go auto learn here. Oh no, first I pick the position I want, then auto learn, and then I just screw it on to the valve, and the pressure change will make it figure it out. So now you see I have all my sensors. It's reporting the PSI and the temperature, and then there's the manual ID. So that's what I mean, it's easy to go through and see the different IDs and then reposition your sensors once you have them off and putting them back on. So next we'll go mount this and we'll go through its menuing and features, that sort of thing. Okay, I'll show you how I have my rear camera mounted and wired in. So it's mounted near the top of my rig. They want you to have it pretty close to the top so the signal can easily reach the display. If your rig is really long, there is an extender antenna that can plug in and you can mount it closer to the front. I've never really had any problems with this one. It works pretty good like this. What I've done is I've run the wiring up, and I have a little junction box here, and at one point I drilled a hole through the roof and put the junction box on because I have a cell booster antenna that was installed, so it's a convenient place for me to run that 12-volt wire in. And then inside the RV, I'll show you in a second, I wired it into a control panel and put a switch on it so I can turn it on and off. And then it just mounts to the side here with a nice gasket to keep the water out. One tip is that when you wire this in, it's a good idea to bring it down and then loop it back up so you can have like a drip edge. So if there's a lot of rain coming off here, instead of going straight into the camera, it'll go down and drip off there. Specifically, if you do decide to put it into your trailer light here, you'd undo that and pull it off and find the 12 volts and install it. They give you some little crimp connectors if you want to use those, but I would run it down and then back up so that it would have a drip edge as well. And also, you'd probably want to put a small fuse in line, maybe a 2 amp just in case. And there's where it comes down through the roof. You can see my cell booster there. Wire goes across, and I have it plugged in up here. And I had made a little switch here so I can turn my rear camera on and off when I like. I also can use it as a security camera if I want to bring in the display and power it up. I can have it record what's going on behind the RV. Also, I put in a little inline 2 amp fuse just to protect all the wiring in case you get a short circuit. Next, we need to install the extender booster blocks for the tire pressure monitoring system. So they give you 2 of these. It just depends on the size of your rig. First, I just installed one, and occasionally I would lose the back axle tires, so I ended up having to install both of them. They come with little clip-on leads to clip onto a battery, but I actually installed mine hardwired in. So the front one isn't actually installed in this solar controller that has a load output control. So you can see I wired it in there, and it comes down here and goes around and kind of through where my jack is and ends up right at the front here. So it's the one closest to the truck. You can see underneath here, I got a green light that it's on. It doesn't really draw much current at all. I think it's 0.3 amps, so I just leave it on all the time. You can see I just have it hooked in there. And then at the back, you actually can't see it, but straight above one of the axles, inside the underbelly, I installed it. And I wired it into a 12-volt circuit that was going past through there. I had 12 volts that I used for my electric tank valve, so I just patched it into that. On that one, it's fused with a 2 amp fuse. This one here, because it's going into the solar controller, I didn't bother because the solar controller has short circuit protection. If you were to wire it into your battery, it might be good to put, maybe a 1 amp or 2 amp fuse in there just to protect the wiring from any short circuits. But that's the way I did it, and it's worked really well for me. For mounting, they do have a 3M very high bond sticky tape on the back there, or there's flaps here that you can use screws. So when I mounted inside the underbelly, I used the tape. And on the front there, I screwed it into the frame. For test purposes here, I haven't taken off the camera that's on the roof. I'll probably leave it there for my road test, but I'll test the one that came with it right here. I'm just going to put it on the back of the truck here and have it plugged into a 12-volt power box so that we'll have power for the test. So we'll go inside the truck and check it out. Give you a look at the quick access buttons they have below here. So there's power on and off, and then this button here you can turn the rear LED light, floodlight on and off. This one you can actually turn off the display, and you might want to do that because this is super reflective, so it actually works as a normal rear view mirror. So that might be handy when you're hitching up the truck. A lot of times I hook this up and I get it all set up and have all the tire pressure monitoring working, and then I want to back in and hitch up my fifth wheel, and I need the regular mirror. So that's kind of an interesting feature that they didn't have before. This one has a nice shiny rear view mirror. And then N and P, I think that's just for changing from NTSC format to PAL format for different parts of the world. And then this one is for changing the mirror options, reversing and the picture back and forth. You can see it change in there. I'll show you that in the settings. So yeah, it's nice to have those quick buttons down there. There's a little LED here to tell you it's turned on. And then I have the big straps on versus the elastic bands, because I do have a very large mirror in my Ram here, so elastic bands are a little tight on that. 12 volt is plugged in, and I have it plugged into my 12 volt power down here. They give you a ton of cable so you can run it around and hide it if you like, but I just plug it in when I'm towing and then unplug it when I'm done. So here we are. So we're mounted on the back of a rear view mirror, and we have the view going behind the truck and the dash cam going forward. You can change the view. You can just touch that and be full screen, or that one, or you can have both of them. Also, you can adjust how much is showing, because you're really taking a square picture and you're making it a little more rectangle. So they do have, oops, you can go up and down on the side here to adjust the orientation there. And then up here we have the temperature and the PSI of the tires, and it will rotate every few seconds. So the next one, or you can just touch it there and get a full screen of what's going on with all the tires. So I really like this. I like to be able to just because I'm constantly looking here to see what's behind the RV when I'm traveling, so it's good to be able to just keep tabs on that. If anything goes wrong with one of the tires, it'll flash red, and also you can choose to have an audio alert or not. I decided not to have the audio alert because occasionally it does fault. So I've had a few times over the course of, say, 1,000 miles, maybe 3 or 4 times, where it faults for a minute or so, and then it seemed to get its act together again. Not sure what that was. It could have been some type of electronic interference, because it is a wireless system. But overall, it was pretty solid. And it did alert me one time to I picked up a nail in one of my trailer tires, and it was flashy, and I could see the PSI slowly dropping, and I was able to pull over and change the tire before it had any type of catastrophic failure or anything. So it did save me one time. As far as doing the setups here, you just kind of pull down and you get a menu. You can have a rear backup system on or off if you want for backing up the rig. I don't use that. It's just guidelines like you have in cars. And you can have audio on or off. I find the audio isn't great at all. It's pretty pathetic because it's got a tiny microphone inside the camera. You can have a cam LED to kind of warn people, and also you can use it for turning on. If you're going to be backing up, you can see a big yellow bulb comes up there. You really don't want that when you're moving. And you can have recording on or off. See the recording flashes up there. And this is for pairing the cameras. Mine was already paired, so I didn't need to do that, but if you change cameras or something, you might have to pair it. This is for changing it for mirror modes. So you can see that just depending how you're going to mount the camera. I always switch mine backwards because when I'm towing, I'm going to have a rear view, so I'm going to want everything reversed like it would be in a rear view mirror, so that cars come up on the right side. Like if it's showing a video pointing backwards, the cars are going to come up on the wrong side. It's really disorientating, so just trust me, you have to reverse that view. Anyway, what else we got here? You can turn that display on and off if you prefer not to have it. It'll still do the alerts and warnings, but of course I like to have that there. And then there's a setup thing here. You can format the SD card, turn the recording on and off, and you can play back footage. You can adjust pictures, stuff here, contrast, volume, LCD brightness, that sort of thing. And then we have the park line adjustment. I don't use that. And then over here under settings, we have clock settings, language, reset setup, firmware version. Not much needs to be done there. There we go. And down here we have the date and time. And up here we have signal strength. Looks pretty good. There's full bars there. And then there's audio on and off there. It's sort of hard to see. So anyway, I'm going to test that out. Next time we tow, in about a week or so, we're going to go probably round trip about 200 miles of towing, and I'll get some footage for you on this. You can also go and watch my videos that I did on the previous model if you want to see some footage, but we're going to test this out and see what kind of footage it shows. So stay tuned for that. Till next time, Ray from Haloview RV and Boat. Cheers, guys.